Tomb colonists in the Chelinate. A big, dead hollow. Big, stinking, big reptile. For the first time in 20 years, I do not miss my once acute sense of smell. Still, I expect good hunting. So we can send them up to Storm's temple. The Chelinates worship the god called Storm with frightful, bloody rites. Those are the only rites Storm pays attention to. It should keep them distracted. The tomb colonists are grinning and bobbing up and down like a gang of small children. It'd be very dangerous. That's probably why they're so happy if we let them go hunting. Neither one of these seem great. I'm gonna risk Storm's attention. What a charming place that was. If you like skin and shouting, actually, I like both those things, so thank you terribly much. Alright, we need to find a replacement, hopefully in London, but we didn't lose any more. Okay, so to help our cook, we have to come back with 3 hunting trophies. So let's go down to the Gant pole and see if we can do this trade. Oh, cool. It will just let you land right on top of witherweed and damage your hull. That's nice. Thank you, game. Where the Z goes to die. The submarine surfaces in a pocket of air in the middle of a giant stone heart. You are not the only new arrival. At midnight, Whale lies mortally wounded on a small beach of bone and blubber, moaning softly. An elderly woman in ragged red robes is carving its flesh, attended by a few disciples. Her hands move with expert, if incomprehensible, precision. The art of divination through entrails, not the most pleasant or reliable way of seeing the future, especially with the organs in question still warm and oozing as she plucks them from the great beast. Whatever she is looking for, the focus it demands exhausts her. A sudden sound, rumbling, from the tunnels, the ventricles, the sound of a stampede, a cry of "Protect the mistress" as a flood of naked old men and women wielding primitive bone harpoons charges towards the whale. Old sailors fixated on one goal, feast on Z-flesh, whether the Haruspex is finished or not. Let's defend her. A rancid rout. You stride into the melee. The Haruspex and her disciples are outnumbered, but your contribution to the fray is worth at least 10 of the elderly attackers. Their harpoons barely leave a scratch. Wrenching one from the nearest attacker, you easily hold the geriatric horde back with little but pointed gestures. The Haruspex returns to her work. From the corner of your eye, you see a little of the method behind it. Just a little, but enough to see the traces of a pattern in the grooves of a small ivory slate. A question will not go unanswered indefinitely, she frowns, unsatisfied. The whale moans its last as she finishes up. Her work is done. She thanks you with a nod and has her people allow the old sailors to approach the slowly cooling carcass. Hunt thalates, behemostaches, beloves, or trestlogants to bring more beasts to the Gant pole. Okay, not our forte. Compiling a port report. That favored hazing method of many a veteran sailor, saved for particularly wet behind the ears recruits. Ask your captain to deliver this to the Gant pole. Go to the Gant pole and find my pocket watch. Tell the crew, tonight we dine at the Gant pole. A hilarious jape, when not standing in the blasted place and hoping someone will pay for recent news from it. So people don't believe this place exists then. Because this is oh so strange compared to something like Anth. Speak with the fading Haruspex. She sits in a ghoulish tent made of the bone and hide of long-dead beasts, saving her energy for the next great behemoth to reach its grisly end. Okay, we can bring her recent news to boost our apprenticeship a little bit to a maximum of 3, but we can't do, like, the whole thing. Well, here, have some recent news. We'll probably go back to London before we head back to the Isle of Cats anyway. Tools of the trade. She listens intently to the latest gossip and scandal. How I miss them. Thank you. That makes many things clearer, and other things so much more confused. Let me show you some more of my art. I suspect it will have the same effect. What do you see in the bodies of the dead? The nearly dead, she corrects. There is nothing to be predicted from meat but the quality of one's dinner. A wheezing laugh escapes her lungs. In Babylon, the quivering livers of 100 sheep showed us the fate of the first. In Rome, had Caesar only asked the right question. It is the life that leads to answers, not the meat. Down here, centuries of life, so many secrets, but the great beasts of the sea pass on so rarely. I cannot hold on much longer in the hope of finding what I seek. How long have you been down here? 10 years? 100 years? 1,000? It's all the same after a while. The flesh keeps the body together. The mind, well, that's a trickier matter. I have coped, others have not. You have seen them, the oldest of the sailors, with no warm bed and loving family calling them to shore. They are as much creatures of the sea as any that swim in it. The heart welcomes them and they embrace it. It is their fate. I see a far more important one in your future. Who else has ventured here in search of your wisdom? It has been so long. The last who came here without being drawn? Long ago. Time enough that these nails were short and this face still held some beauty. Oh, spare me the sympathetic murmurings. I see the present better than the future, like any other. But where was I? Yes, the Presbyterian princess was the last to find me. She came from the city on the mountain to ask the fate of an uprising. Not that of the 7 who fell, but the 7 who follow. Would the pain be worth it, she asked? That part I could not answer. Okay, no more questions for now. We'll bring you more gossip, and eventually maybe we'll fight some Z-beasts for you. Alright, let's cut some flesh from the chelonate. The carcass of the last beast to expire in this place still has plenty of meat hanging from its bones. Your crew would face starvation 100 times before adding this still quivering mass of gluttonous blubber to the supplies. To the chelonate, however, it probably counts as haute cuisine. Okay, let's give this over. Delicious. The redolent flesh merchant dips a finger into the quivering blubber and tastes it with shivering enjoyment. He pays you and gets to work selling it by the cupful. It is impossible to tell if the chelonate prefer it to their customary diet of rancid turtle meat, but it is at least a different flavor of terrible. His customers are still licking their lips when the barrel is drained to the last oily drop. Okay, that was 200 echoes. We're only going to do this one more time because we are running dangerously low on fuel and food. And we need to get to Khan's Shadow. So, as much as I would like to just run this until the game doesn't let you anymore, because spoiler alert, it eventually hits a point that it won't let you anymore. People chase him off. So as much as I'd love to do that, we are running so low on supplies and we can't buy any more here. Yeah, we're gonna have to, like, we could pop up to Frostfound and maybe then from there reach Palmerston. But only if we go now. It is a very short trip, but in this case, we are running so low that even doing that too many times is going to screw us over. And I'd rather not have the end of the game be running out of fuel. It's a rather embarrassing way to lose. Taking tea and taking supplies. Oh, that's enough to get us to Palmerston, and good lord, turn the light off. Do you want to die? Why we have fails, because I swear, even when they don't technically detect you, it's like the enemies in this game just try to path in the most inconvenient way whenever you're trying to slip by them. Okay, Port Palmerston's in sight and we still have a couple of fuel barrels left, so guess what, y'all get to have the light on for the last part of this. The view from above. A high place, the sea like a rippled sheet of night green jade. The roof of the neath above, bellied with stalactites and prickled with false star. Look out across the water. What are you thinking of? Let's offer a prayer to stone. We've gained 2 mirrors, 2 hearts, and 1 terror. I'll take it. We are going to buy 1 crate of supplies here. As a little bit of a safety net to get us to London. Literally all the fuel we can jam in the hold. Okay, we're turning off the light again, so we had to deal with, I believe that's a caustic corsair. Yeah, see how he was circling and now suddenly he's just conveniently, or in this case most inconveniently, coming this way? I'm pretty dang convinced that the game's enemies are kind of programmed to be inconvenient regarding stuff like this. Would stop off in Vinderblight, but they're going to complain that we don't have 12, probably. So we're going to stop in London and try to get a tomb colonist. Into the pot they go. Okay, since we're coming in with a crate of souls, we're going to take just a second to swap out our engineer here at Hunter's Keep, where it won't cause any problems. Here we are. Take it. Give me stuff. I need it. Oh, so he actually talks to you before the revenue men do, because the revenue event triggered, but he took it first, so we can just let them do their worst. Let's see, how are we doing on halt? Not great. Let's handle that. I want to go away to sea. Your child wants to sign on with a ship already? But time passes quickly, and most quickly in the Untersee. How many years have you been at Z? Don't ask. Time operates slyly out in the dark. A family tradition, if your child survives. Many sailors don't. You of all people know that. Yeah. All is well, for now. New Year's Day, 1890-something. Quartermaster's assistant of legal age, signed on recommendation of legal guardian. Give equal treatment. You have a scion. When you die, the next generation may take up the torch. In the meantime, they will still live at home. Probably. I feel like there was something that needed Scintillac, but now I can't remember what it was. And the honest answer is that we can't afford to have it in our frickin' hold. So, even if I end up regretting this, I'm gonna just sell it. Wonderful. Okay, so I didn't want to, but I looked it up because I remembered being able to get tomb colonists here. They removed that. So now if you lose any on this quest, you may as well dump all of them. Beautiful, guys. You didn't like to have a slightly easy way to farm some money in the early game by ferrying tomb colonists. So you got rid of that, and then you left in dialogue in the other quest implying that you could replace tomb colonists that were lost when you basically no longer can. So I may as well have just chucked all of these guys overboard as soon as we lost one and not dealt with it. I am livid right now. We're gonna try to take them back. I didn't look up exactly what the quest does if you come back with less than 12. We're going to try. If we can't, I'm hucking them all overboard or selling them all at the Carnal Lounge, because I'm done. The operator ticks the remaining colonists off her list. Well, close enough, I suppose. Here's your fee, and they seem cheerful enough. Perhaps we won't lose all of them to the moths, or to the sanatoria. She leans in, her breath scented with mushroom wine. Vinderbite is worse than you know, and now you know it. I don't know, I'm hoping that all it was that we lost 100 echoes. I have no idea if it's meant... Yeah, I'm not doing that again. That was not worth... Yes, it was 1,100 echoes. It was not worth the hassle of losing that much hold space. Or the supplies that they kept eating. So, I don't know, maybe if we had a bigger ship and the hold space wasn't as big a deal, but frankly, the bigger ships, from what I remember, without adjusting their stats, are basically a trap. You think you have more hold space, but in reality, you don't, because you had to attach a more powerful engine to the thing to get the same speed, so you're using more fuel, And you have to have a bigger crew, so they're eating more supplies. What does that mean? You have to carry way more supplies and fuel to make the same trip that we're able to make in this ship, which ultimately means that, you still have a gigantic chunk of your hold that is just taken up by supplies and fuel. You're paying more for it because you can't gather enough to sustain yourself for the most part, like we've been doing. It helps a little bit, but it doesn't help as much as you'd think, especially considering the amount that you have to spend to get the new ships. And let's explore. The Carmine Chapel. A little chapel stands alone. You poke your head through the door. The walls are a deep red, just this side of scarlet. A ruby-tinted window at the back glows with steady light. An electric lamp behind the glass? Rare and expensive. But this is no gaslight. No one is here, and yet you have the sensation that only a moment ago, someone must have been. Make an offering with half-familiar rites. Moving as if asleep, you place a candle at each corner of the altar. When the rites are done, you clean the chapel carefully, for the next to pass this way. Peace lies on your mind like a sheen of oil. You stow your supplies in the hold of the ship. There are no witnesses. Okay. We're not going to talk about what probably just happened there. I know we need to find Hideaway. I know that's a big thing that we need to find. I have no idea where it is. For anyone wondering, my best guess was maybe near the Chelsenate. But that doesn't seem to be the case. We could certainly go back to the Gant pole and continue just getting money for the stuff we're cutting off of it for a while. I'm sure something else will eventually send us out toward the Chelsenate. We'll do it then. We could keep taking recent news to the Isle of Cats for a while. That's an option. We could also at the same time try to get some coffee to the Khanate to keep things moving forward there. Oh, and we need to get strategic information from Avid Horizon. We may as well do that now. We're not too far from it. Yet we literally do not have the hold space for that. We physically need a bigger boat because of the 40 units of Stygian ivory. Doing most of those is not going to be doable unless we have a ship that is better for hunting Z-beasts. So yeah, there are some things you do actually just realistically need a bigger ship to do, and some of these quests that require hauling massive amounts of cargo or hunting the larger Z-beasts. Those are some of those things. It's not that they're completely useless. It's just that they're not as big an upgrade as they appear to be on paper. Oh, and we need to go back to Rosegate. We're just hauling his apprentice around currently. Okay, well, looking at this, let's pop up to Avid Horizon to at least get the intelligence that we're supposed to have for that. And then it's looking like we're going to be doing some circles down here. Going to the Isle of Cats, Rosegate, If we could clear enough space in our hold, we might carry some basalt from the salt lines. Retrieve strategic information from here, but you were given a sign to look for. There it is, carved on one of the pillars of the dock. Below the sign, an authoritative hand has carved this message. If you wish to return to London, if you seek the forgiveness of the Empress, if you will sacrifice all to make amends, record your name and crime. Below are the names of murderers, traitors, hopeless villains who fled into exile. They've made the icy pilgrimage here to the end of the world to prove their desperation to return home. You record them all, the old and the freshly carved. The Admiralty will pick through the names and make their choice. Leave now, quickly. A Blimmigan colony. At the heart of a salty little bog, you come upon a pulsing mound of Blimmigans. They are rich dark purple, like viscera, perhaps, or blackberries. They chitter as they swarm. They sound like pebbles on a beach. Be careful. A single Blimmigan is a nuisance. 100 is a calamity. We're gonna try to observe the colony, even though it has the lower chance of success, because I feel like assaulting the colony would be worse if it failed. There is some sort of purple mushroom. Unlike most purple mushrooms, they have tentacles and fangs, and they run around a lot. That's about as much as you get. Perhaps your mind's not on it. Again, yeah, we failed it, but, failing that just means we didn't really get anything. Failing the other would have probably meant some horrible things, and 68% is not quite good enough when you're facing that. I think it might be worth stopping by Anth and seeing if we get lucky enough to cultivate sharpness. Oh, that takes 3 mute or salt, not 1. Maybe the cost went up, or maybe I just didn't notice, but I'm probably just going to sell the 1 mute or salt we have then, because I'm not going to wait until we have 3. We'll just keep throwing ourselves at this. Try it one more time. Nights of meditation. The environment is a help, but you must also prepare your mind and will. Going sharp means giving up many sensations. Let's go for the lungs. That feels like it would combo well with the tongue, and I think we need to take another one before we can take the tongue, but I'm not sure. The Salon of Incense. The chamber is lined with black crystal. Braziers are lit and a low haze hangs in the air, troubling none of the inhabitants. Your respiration slows. Your exhalations are cold and dry. Follow a polythyreme exile. A hulking clay figure is visible through the smoke. It moves away through the opposite door. The speed of unhappiness. You follow. The clayman is moving fast, down several corridors towards the section of Anth reserved for the bone sharp. A sight that would not be at all extraordinary in London, but most of the inhabitants of Anth seem complacent, possibly indolent. Hardly anyone is ever in a hurry. The man ducks into the bone barrow. A person would be unwise to follow unless they had considerable confidence in their own skeleton. Or we could mineralize our skeleton to go after that clay man. I'd rather interact with the woman who was apparently burning. Tongue Point Pinnacle. The sharp tongues gather on a point of rock. There is little room for newcomers. The wit is crisp and dry. The dictation is precise. Nothing is slurred and nothing said in error. I could use that, to be honest. Your tongue is transparent and its edges are perfectly squared. I mean, you're theoretically probably giving up, your ability to taste food. Although I don't think it affects any of the events that involve food. That's one of the weird things about Anth, is there's a lot of things where you'd think this would affect those events, and it mostly doesn't. Probably because this is DLC content. Sell your song of broken halls to the singers in the shell. Lungs and tongue are both crystal, the better to sing. Sure. Inside a great shell. The concert hall was once the shell of an impossible oyster. Now its surfaces are clean and iridescent, and the singers of Anth perform. They can hold a note, a perfect shapely note, for longer than ought to be possible. They sing the song of broken halls until it threatens to shatter the oyster shell. The performers are excited and full of questions. The song is brutal, sharp, and cold. Where did you get it? Who wrote it? They reward you as well as they can with gossip and food. So we need to find wherever we're supposed to get these drowny hymns and things. We've been to Low Barnet, but it says it will just likely speed up the progress of her illness. A lot of these are at least it's difficult, but it might help. That one just doesn't seem like a good idea. I have no idea what a Needle of Fortis is. Provide a dry lecture on the social stratification of visage. Unlocked with Anth Rosina's Health 1 and Anth Rosina's Health no more than 19. You have 10. Do we need to wait until something's awaiting us? Is that the problem here? Probably. Ship of Answers. The wreck has fallen into a crevice in the Z-bed. It lies embraced by stones. Go deeper inside the wreck. The first sweep of your lantern reveals wreckage scattered across the lower deck. Fallen weapons, fallen lives. Sure. Captain's log. You uncover a logbook buried beneath a pile of rags and water-claimed bones. The writing reveals the ship was bound for Scrimshander, containing a precious cargo, a brilliant historian's lost work. The log tells of a passenger obtained, a jelly-stung Chelinate hunter. It describes how he insisted that he be allowed into the cargo hold, of a pitched battle that ensued when he wasn't. Dried stains underfoot tell the rest. The hold remains secure. Breaking it open, you discover a box of bone carvings providing a description of the Chelinate's great turtle and an account of its death. According to this account, the turtle was not hunted, as the Chelinate claim, but was already dead when they found it. Alright, I mean, I'm all for that, but going to Scrimshander has its problems, as we've discussed. So I'm probably going to wait until we have, ideally, more things than that need to go there. Or at the very least, a cargo hold full of wine and dark drop coffee, so we can spend some time in the archives during the visit. Let's help them resolve a dilemma. The rat's wine is in high demand, hairless advisor. The aide twitches its whiskers. We do not wish to take the joy from life, but it has caused many problems, many injuries amongst our farmers, our new militia recruits missing their training. Do we step in or turn a blind eye? And why is there not a middle ground? Yeah, prohibition never frickin' works. So just turn a blind eye, since that's apparently the only option. The aide seems slightly relieved. Very good, hairless advisor, it squeaks, raising a glass in your honor. You return to the town, past a furry heap of soldiers, one particularly small guinea pig, sleeping in a human-sized cup. They squeak happily as you pass. Gained 2 spirit, lost 1 might. The next way we resolve a dilemma, we'd better do it in a way that's going to give them more might, because this could potentially be a problem. And I'm just resisting the urge to try to steal the rat star. That would still be a very bad idea. I shouldn't do that to them, because I think it just completely wrecks their civilization, and you don't get to do anything further here. So unless for some reason I actually need it, we're not doing that. Approach Button Island. Is there something in the air today? A restless breeze? It's probably nothing. The moment passes. The ship slides into dock. Last-minute preparations. Button Island bustles. Villagers scurry on countless errands, and the smell of baking fish wafts from ovens. Locals touch up the whitewash on their cottages. Bunting crowns the village. Down on the shore, a band practices, and beyond, among the rocky shoals around the island, drownies begin to congregate. Sorry, much too busy, a royal visit. You look for someone else. In the way, you manage to get a few moments' attention from the custodial chief. It's the Fruits of the Z festival, he tells you, the 30th. 30 were promised, 30 delivered. Now his complexity comes to visit our fair island. He turns to a hurrying fisherman, who struggles under a mound of bunting. Is that all there is? More bunting, he screeches. More bunting! You'll get nothing from Mutton Island at the moment. Baker's Haven has apparently gone quiet. Is the festival over? Where's the chimney smoke? Where are the people? I get the feeling that these events were supposed to happen a little ways apart, but it's been so long since we visited Mutton Island, we're just getting them back to back. Mutton Island rests silently under the false stars. No smoke rises from the chimneys, no feet tread the streets, no ruddy-cheeked locals trade rustic aphorisms on the jetty. What has happened? Okay, we're going to compose a port report first, brief though it might be. Still here, still sodden, empty as a politician's promises. Explore the shore. What's on the beach? Laces and soles. Shoes litter the length of the shore and bob in the sighing surf. Sunday best boots. Solid farmer's shoes studded with hobnails. Small, neat children's shoes with gleaming buckles. Wherever the inhabitants went, they went barefoot. Investigate the Cock and Magpie. It was the heart of the village once. Drunk dry. Most of the brasses still hang by the beams, but they are now joined by an incongruous studying of barnacles. Behind the bar, the floor is littered with empty bottles. You test the beer kegs, also empty. The cellar is flooded with 3 feet of Z water. Drowned rats float slowly across the surface. Alright, investigate the hill. A hunched shape looms on the hilltop. The effigy. The hill is strewn with dead fish. Silvery scales shine under your lamp. Glassy eyes glint. You come across the old stone well and peer in it. The water is high. A salt reek rises from it. On the hilltop, a wicker figure stands. When it was built, it must have been 10 feet high. Now it is slumped and sagging, and the paper mache of its skin has sloughed away. But it still wears a knobbly crown of coral. Explore the village. You wander through the empty, winding streets. Seaweed hangs from windowsills. Thatches are sodden. Drenched bunting hangs limply from the eaves. No one's home. You check house after house and don't find a soul. The carpets squelch underfoot, oozing Z-water. The curtains drip. No valuables have been left behind. No jewelry, no heirlooms. But there is still cutlery in the drawers. Plates and bowls stacked in the damp, stinking cupboards. Something rattles in a coal scuttle. You tip it over, a crab crawls out. It peers around, clearly lost. Entertain your crew's terrified speculations. Each of them has a theory about what happened on the island. Unlikely tales. A sprightly deckhand blames Storm. He's always gustin' and blusterin' round here. The islanders must have angered him. A craggy crewman shakes his head. No, it were that well of theirs. There was something waiting in the bottom of it, and it finally climbed out. Scoffs a solemn stoker. Mark my words, this is the work of the Fathom King, and his complexity only takes what's offered. Well, they said something about a king that was coming during that festival, so I'm honestly inclined to agree with him, if any of them. Okay, I'd really rather not push our terror any higher. I would like it to not be above 50 when we return to London, if at all possible, although it's probably going to go to just 50 frickin' 1 with my luck. Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to do. I'm honestly tempted to say, screw it then and go entertain their speculations for a bit. But let's see. Okay, we're going to wait right here for a second for terror to decrease a little bit because we're in the light right here. If we could just make it to London without it going up that last freaking point, that'd be great. Liked messages. Agree to take the thing. Here we go again. This is just going to keep going until we screw it up, isn't it? Just enjoy their company. It does still work. Lower the terror. Yeah, we're going to just sell that muter salt. Pass on the strategic information. Ask where he wants us to go next. Chapel of Lights again, so they can repeat. Alright, cool. Let's see, we've still got so many. Quaker's Haven specifically. They were always a funny lot. Probably got their comeuppance. Wow. Surprised that didn't get more, considering how many echoes and how much fuel you get from this. I'm surprised they didn't nerf it if they were bothered by the tomb colonists. We have so many different things to do that, frankly, I think I'm going to have to review the footage and then try to write down the 30 million freaking things that we should be doing. Because sadly, the game doesn't help you keep track very well. So I will try to sort that out and hopefully have some idea of what we're supposed to do next time. I mean, we could possibly try to get a better ship. We could afford the Forced, and if it had even a hold capacity of 50, which I'm pretty sure I modded it to have a hold capacity of 50. I modded its hold to be a slight upgrade over the Gloriana, whatever I did. I do remember that was a thing. But it's just the hold capacity isn't any better. What this improves for us is we get a small iron bonus, a forward slot, which means we'd have to get a weapon to fill it for that to provide any benefit. really the big improvement is the hull, and in payment for that, our weight doubles, and we need more people to run the ship. Like, the amount of crew we currently have, 6, would be barely enough to keep this thing running, even with the We Are Clay. And then, of course, the Caligo, which we can't afford, so this one would be completely theoretical. But, you know, hull of 300, great. Hold capacity of 120, triples the hold, great. Quintuples the weight. We wouldn't have nearly enough crew to keep it moving. We'd have to just sit here and hire a bunch of crew. And it has a Veils penalty, which isn't great. Honestly, I'm tempted to say that we just sit on the Echoes until we have enough for the Menad. Because, yeah, that also has the Veils penalty, which sucks, but it also has mirrors, iron. Yeah, the weight and such is a problem, but it's less insane, and that whole benefit would mean that we would get to hunt Zeebees. I think we're just going to sit on the money until we have enough for the Menad. Because all these other ones have too many problems. Even the Menad has problems, but fewer. So that's going to be ages. We're about halfway there. Honestly, not really, because you have to remember that 1,000 of those Echoes currently are on loan for buying the unstamped Crate of Brilliant Souls. Gonna definitely have to try to remember that we need to do that, or I'm gonna accidentally screw us over by returning to London without it. Oh me, oh my. I was really hoping we wouldn't get that event this time, because I really hate to end a recording session on it, but it is getting awfully late and I'm getting tired, so we're just gonna have to. I will see you guys next time.